So I'm going to talk a little bit about recruiting for introverts. And just to give you a little bit of my story and why I think I can talk to you about this topic. You know, I grew up in Jamaica, and one of the things that happened with me is that I grew up very shy. And I remember in high school, I was voted the person who is the shyest male in the whole high school class that year. So I grew up very, very shy person, not very comfortable talking to people. And, you know, but I got successful in the industry and made a good career for myself. So I became quite successful in industry. And when I moved to Canada, I went to Alberta and did quite well there. And then for some strange reason, I decided to get into financial industry where I had to sell insurance and recruit people to build a business. And I remember when I talked with Bupinda and Andrea, one of the first things I said, guys, I am not going to recruit anybody and I'm not going to sell insurance. And they didn't realize it was, even though I had success, I was so shy on the inside, just didn't want to put myself in a place where I have to go talk to people. But I always see these things as challenge. Somebody offered me a challenge and I don't know what to do. I usually say yes, and then I try to figure it out. So being an introvert, I think I can speak to introverts. And if you have introverts on your team, this might also be very useful for you as a leader. So let's think about the strength of an introvert. And by the way, before I go further, before I forget, let me just say thank you to everybody for being on here, making this so special, and thanks to the team at head office to put this together. But let's talk about an introvert and what are their strengths. One of the strengths of an introvert is that they're great listeners. They can listen. The other strength you would notice with introverts, they think a lot. Sometimes people say they overthink, but they have to think in order to take action. The other thing you'll notice about introvert, they're very particular about what they say and how they say it because they want to be accurate. They are great observers. So they can focus on one thing. Introverts, because they don't want to put themselves on the outside until they're comfortable on the inside, they do a lot of preparation. And introverts develop a keen sense of anticipation just because they don't want to put themselves out until they're comfortable on the inside. Therefore, introverts are known for clear and honest communication. The total result of this is that they build trust. Introverts are trusted by people who know them. And my computer is switching here, but I notice I don't know if it's switching for everybody else, but it's switching for me here. So let's talk about recruiting. I'm saying recruiting for introverts. And I hope you can see my screen. So for an introvert, recruiting is not an activity. And recruiting is not something you do. Recruiting is a result. So for the introvert, they have to break that down into the activity. Because you have to remember this one key thing. Fear of the part is fear of the whole. So a lot of people think introverts are fearful of recruiting. No, they're not. You have to break that down into the steps of recruiting and find out what it is that they fear about recruiting. And I'm going to show you how I do it and how I deal with it myself that enable me to become a good recruiter, even though I'm so introverted. So recruiting sounds like it's hard for most introverts. And the primary reason for this is that most time recruiting is taught by extroverts. And they have no clue how an introvert deals with recruiting, because it's not being taught by introverts. And so what I'm going to show you is a simple way I use to break this down for myself and for the people in my business who I know are also introverted. So here's how we break it down. Recruiting is really 4 steps: prospecting, booking an appointment, doing a presentation, completing that with an interview, and if the person is interested, signing them up. So that's the 4 steps. And each step, when you take it part by part, it is not fearful to the introvert, because now they can break it down into steps and understand it. So when you think recruiting and talk recruiting to an introvert, take it step by step. Here's how I do it. And this slide is a little busy. It's going to come up shortly. It's a little busy, but I think you'll get it. So if you recall what I said about introvert and their strengths, now you have to match the skills they need to complete the job to the strengths they have. Here's how simple it is. When we say an introvert must build a prospecting list, you need to show them what to do, but then you have to allow them to do it on their own with a little bit of help. Because an introvert has to go on the inside to build a list. They can't just sit down and say, oh, give me names and give you names. They freeze up. Introverts need to go inside. They operate best in solitude. They operate best when they can focus. So allow them to go inside and build a list themselves. Assist them, but let them work from the inside, because that's where they're comfortable. In fact, that's where they are most successful. And I have a simple philosophy about life. Focus on your strengths. And your weakness, sell it. Get somebody else to help you with those. Now you have to allow introverts to build trust. They have to write their own goals their own way. Because if it's not believable to them, if it's not factual and accurate, they're going to struggle. So allow the introvert to work from the inside out. Introverts, by the way, are not generally motivated by external things. So don't think that an introvert is going to be excited about getting into a contest and competing. But boy, when an introvert finds a goal from the inside, finds a passion from the inside, absolutely nothing will stop them. They're like dog on a bone. They will not let go, but it has to come from the inside, not from the outside. I hope this is kind of making a little bit of sense. If you're a leader and you have introverts, you need to understand how they function, and then you'll be able to assist them. This area here, the booking of the appointment, is probably the hardest part for the introvert. I'm going to tell you why. There is too much uncertainty in the booking of the appointment. They feel that they lack control. And oftentimes an introvert is afraid they may cause pain to another person. Those are the 3 areas that stop them from doing that. So what do? Well, I have to help them become comfortable in those areas. How do I reduce uncertainty? They have to get to know the prospect. Your introvert need to work from their hot list. They need to spend the time to get to know the person before they go out and talk to the person. The other thing an introvert must do is make sure that you believe in what you do so much that when you go out and when I go out to meet a person, I must know they're going to benefit more from what I'm going to give them than I'm going to receive. It is this idea that an introvert has to give. This is who they are. And they will not take benefit at the expense of somebody else. It makes them uncomfortable because they want to come from the inside where they have to be at peace on the inside with whatever they're doing. So introverts has to be in a win-win situation. So the best thing you can do for your introverted persons, make sure they understand well the service we give and how it benefits the other. Train them about the benefit we're giving to the public. This is what's going to motivate them. Next thing is, before they make the call, you have to be very, very clear on the appointment. Introverts, they hate spontaneous things. They want to be planned ahead of time. Things need to be clear for them. Know what they're going to do, where they're going to do it, who they're going to do it to. This is preparation. Introverts have to be so prepared, and that's a strength, which is good. Here's something I do. I'm going to go to the bold letters there. Before I make a call, before I try to book an appointment, before I talk to anybody, I mentally prepare myself. I actually see myself doing it and expecting a positive return, a positive response. And that's how I work. Because doing that, it takes me out of the uncertainty zone. I become comfortable inside. I expect good things to happen. But I rehearse the call several times in my mind before I make the call. That's what I teach introverts how to do it. They cannot be like an extrovert who will spontaneously just do something. They need to think about it. They need to become convinced that they're not going to hurt the person by doing it. So it's all about preparation. By the way, the next two parts are very easy for your introverted persons. They love presenting. They love talking. Because what? They're prepared. They like the fact that they have things that they checked out, and they will not be using hyperbole. And an introvert will give accurate, factual information because they have to be comfortable on the inside. That's why they make such good presenters. They have great observation skill. They can read people because they have to. They practice reading people all their lives just to function in a society. They're great with listening. They know how to connect to the inner person of the others. So introverts could be your best business builders. I'm going to just throw up this last slide here. I think I'm at my 15 minutes, but just throw up this slide here to give you an idea how different introverts are from extroverts. By the way, this is not really to get into typecasting, but it's really just to give you a basic idea. Take a look at the two sides. They're very different. And here's a challenge for leaders if you're on this call. For the leaders here, you can't treat everybody the same because they're not. You need to understand your folks. Introverts need to be dealt with in a very different way than extroverts. And if you just focus on that, your introverts can be some of your best business people. I've noticed in life that introverts become some of your best leaders. Why? Because they're thoughtful, they're focused, they're reflective. They go on the inner world and they create from the inside. They're measured, they think, and then they speak. This is a strength in our business if we learn how to do this and do this well. If you're an introvert, take the time, focus on your strength. You can become good at this. I'm a good recruiter, a great recruiter, I might even say, even though I am so introverted. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope this makes some sense to you. And I hope I contribute a little bit to you going forward and building something important for yourself and your family.